So my name's Yasna and I'm 33 years old. I'm married with two young daughters that are 4 and 2, and I work part-time as a special needs teacher. My mum has always been on my back to get life insurance, but it's one of those things that you're like, oh yeah, I need to get onto that, and never really, thought too much about it because it's just on the long list of things to do and life gets busy. So yeah, I personally just thought, I'll get onto it. And then my mum is a business associate with Ron, and so she told me to contact him and get the ball rolling. So she kind of gave me the push to get started with it. So I've heard of life insurance and obviously the purpose of life insurance, but there were other things that we didn't know about, like trauma insurance and all those kind of things. So it was just, getting more information about it and the importance of that kind of thing. The process was actually quite easy. Ron came over with all the information and helped us fill out the forms, and then if we needed anything, it was just email back and forth or conversations where he would call us up and ask for more information. We really didn't need to do anything. Everything was taken care of, and in terms of it being expensive, and it's a cost that some people might not be able to afford or don't think they can afford. We actually called Ron and said, look, we're not sure we can afford this much longer. He came up with options of being able to use some of our superannuation to pay some of it, and that option we kind of went, okay, well, what can we afford? We worked out our budget, and that's how we worked it out. Rather than getting rid of it completely, we were able to work out what we could afford and the most we could afford, so then we were still covered. So early July 2019, I was on holidays with my family and I found a lump in my breast. I came home, and with a big whirlwind of events, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I ended up having a double mastectomy and needing to have chemotherapy as well as treatment. So it was a very, very challenging time for myself and everyone around me, really. It's a big thing to go through, especially when you're 33 and you think you don't have to worry about any of that. So yeah. So once I was diagnosed and we knew I definitely had cancer, it was as simple as calling Ron. I was able to have my mum contact Ron just to say what was going on, because obviously I was very emotional at the time. And straight away Ron was onto it. We actually, once again, just had to fill in a form and had to get some letters from my doctors just to clarify everything. And everything went on behind the scenes without us needing to really do anything or worry about anything. The financial side, by having this claim, meant that we didn't have to worry about the finances. I went to counselling at one point, and they were like, okay, like, I know that you're going through this, and financially, this must be adding up. There's things that we can do, and there were different charities that could help, but obviously they can only help so much. And they were like, these kind of things really impact how you are. And I thought to myself at the time, I don't even have to worry about that. Like, here are all these people that can't work, they don't have sick leave, they don't have trauma insurance, they don't have anything, and how do they pay their bills? How do they take care of their family? Whereas for me, the financial side, I knew I did not have to worry about whatsoever, because the claim really helped fund everything, and it just meant that issue I didn't even need to worry about. So it made it so much easier for me while I was going through what I was going through and the trauma of it all. it meant that that was one worry I really just did not need to worry about, which was fantastic. Once we got that phone call from Ron to say that the money had gone through, it was going to be go through. It was very quick. So it was the phone call, and then within a week we had the money. It meant so much because the bills were really piling up, and it wasn't just hundreds of dollars. Like, it was, you know, quite a lot of money that was piling up. It meant that my mum and my father had to give us money to be able to fund things. It meant that, you know, that's their money that they were, you know, planning for retirement themselves, and they had to use their money to be able to help us. It meant that I could pay them back straight away and, yeah, be able to, you know, not have to worry about anything. And it was just there to be able to access for whatever I needed. And it's still there, because even though my treatment's finished at this point, like, you never know. You never know what's around the corner, as, you know, I'm a good indication of that. And that money is there for a rainy day. Even if I don't use it all, it's there for me to help me with my recovery and my family. So I suppose what I would say to people if they're not sure about getting insurance is, initially when I was thinking about insurance, I knew a friend of a friend, and she was also diagnosed with cancer a number of years ago. And that at that point really triggered it in me. She had 2 young boys, and, you know, I thought, oh my gosh, like, this is happening to her. It can, you know, it can happen to anyone. And then I spoke to Ron, and we got the ball rolling, and I luckily went through with it and was thinking about cancelling things at some point because of finances. But in the end, you know, that little bit of money in the grand scheme of everything, it has really helped me out in a really stressful situation. And I 100% have told people, and my friends that have seen what I've gone through and know the backstory and everything, they have been, all of them have gone, oh, you know, now that we now know all about the different insurances, they're now going to look into it, because you never think this is going to happen to you. You never think it's going to happen to you. And, you know, no one expects it. But at least if you're protected, it's one less thing you have to worry about. And yeah, I thank God that we did it. So I'm very lucky.